And then suddenly, I think, it's a bit like what's happened with festivals over the last 5, 6 years, festivals of live music and everything, is that I think people saw an opening, and then business people got involved in it, who actually thought, okay, this place got a great license, it's shut until 11, it's open until 3 or 2 o'clock in the morning. I've got a window of opportunity of people coming in there. I've got Thursday, Friday, Saturday, why don't I turn it into a nice cocktail bar? Why don't I serve food in there? Mm-hmm. And I was kind of on the crest of that wave. And we weren't really branding, we were just having fun. Okay. And there was great challenges where you'd be thrown something and say, okay, that's the challenge, and this is what we want to do. And we just get on with it, But and our business has grown from being, doing great little bars that would be there for 5 years. I think at one stage I had about 18 interiors that I'd done in the West End. Okay. And then it sort of grew into something quite different, really, and it became quite serious. It went from being, this is great, and we used to get a whole bunch of your mates down to help paint the walls. And then it turned into a sort of a proper business from both points of view, and accountants got involved, and then money and till systems got invented, and that stock taking, blah blah blah. So it suddenly became a very serious business. And then I think the competition. This is what's happening in the business. There's so much competition now. Yeah. Imagine 20 years ago, there'd only be 2 or 3 places you'd want to go to. Now you've got local bars. It's like pubs. But what happened with pubs? Pubs were sort of brown boozers, they used to be called. They were sort of scuzzy carpets and fruit machines. And then somebody had a bright idea of doing a gastro pub, making the food really good, turning it into more of a restaurant, not 70% of your sales being beer, but actually 70% of your sales being food. And the gastro pub was born, and now there was only a handful originally, and now there's thousands of them, And even I live part-time in Norfolk, and we've got our local pubs for amazing food now, And that's grown out of somebody seeing an opportunity. Yeah. So it has changed, and of course because of competition, I think brand identity has become more important. Yeah. And people need to know, successful brands that are coming up at the moment, I think Bill's is very, very good. I don't really know that. It's like a sort of... Yeah, it's kind of it's owned by Richard Caring, and it's just... Pizza East is another one. Have you been to Pizza East? No. Oh, you need to get out there, guys.
Yeah, we just arrived like a few weeks ago.
Right. You need to get out there and see what's happening. Pizza East is what's he called? The guy from Shoreditch House. Do you know Shoreditch House and Soho House Group?
No.
See, they're all private clubs, and they opened one in Soho about 15 years ago, and now they have them all over the world. It's a Soho House Group. And they have hotels and they have rooms, and it's a great product, really clever. They changed the way of design, they changed the way of branding, And it was meant to be a members club that wasn't stuffy. There wasn't such a thing, you see. Now everyone's doing them, Again, there's but it's just about ideas, staying ahead of the game, and you know what happens as well. As soon as you do something, you're going to have 20 people copying you within a year. Not necessarily well. Someone who just jumps on that idea goes, yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So would you also say that the consumers or the customers are it's more important to them, the experience and the whole brand? They would rather go to a restaurant with a strong brand?
It depends who they are. I think people have got disillusioned with brands because off the back of all this sort of the business, you've got things like All Bar One, which was developed by a brewery. And they basically, their pubs weren't doing very well, so they decided to develop a bar brand with food. And they expanded, and then they suddenly realised that actually their audience was limited, really. And I know people who will always go to an All Bar One or a Picture and Piano because they know what they're going to get.
Yeah.
Whereas I'd probably go, I don't want to go there, I want to go to an independent one. But I think people got fed up with the product being consistent but not quite good enough. And the All Bar One group sort of shrunk. It's still there, it still has key sites. Picture and Piano had a lot of trouble. There was Slug and Lettuce, they were all sort of pub-based groups that started off in the pub industry and then went into the bar industry. So I think it's a double-edged sword, because I think that people do, if you've got 5 units, say in London, it's not. I tell you what's been Byron's been a great success,
Mhm.
but I think they're on the cusp of tipping over and going. Actually, it looks a bit naff in there.
Okay.
They've rolled it out. It was a great product to start with. Now they're everywhere. And I think I will go. Actually, I don't want to go there. I want to go to Bill's because there's only 5 of Bill's, and
Mhm.
it's a more interesting environment. The food's slightly better, and the service is great. So I think it's a double-edged sword. Everyone's thing is to try and roll out a brand, you know,
No.
but it's not necessarily the right thing to do.
No.
That's yeah. Do you know Meat Liquor?
Meat liquor.
Meat Liquor. It's a burger place. It's a very interesting story, and I think they've blown themselves out of the water. Burgers and cocktails, really simple concept. And they sold the best burgers, and it was from a van in Peckham, like in a car park in Peckham.
Yeah.
And everyone used to go there to eat their burgers.
Yeah.
And then somebody in their infinite wisdom said to them, you ought to open a restaurant somewhere. Let's work with you, let's find a site. And they opened this place called Meat Liquor, which is just off Oxford Street. And it was ridiculous. There were queues around the block.
Oh,
It was
really?
mental.
Okay.
And then they got into business with a company called The Real Greek, who again, they had an original restaurant over the road here, which was amazing.
Yeah.
And then somebody invested lots of money and they opened 20 of them.
Okay.
And they failed,
Yeah.
basically. And so what they've now done is they've gone into business with the Meat Liquor people, and they've used all the units and leases they've got, and they've opened meat liquors everywhere. But you see, I don't think the one over here, the one that was The Real Greek is now Meat Liquor, and it doesn't work. No one's interested. It's busy at the weekends, but during the week it's empty. So there we go. Amazing brand, amazing quality food, dead in the water.
Okay. Maybe one last question.
Yeah.
Do you think that future managers, like from companies, would need more or less education in the field of design or brand management, like to understand?
Well,
who
owners
they're
or
working with?
bar owners?
The people that you are working with, for example.
Yeah, well, I work with the owners usually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Most people are fairly well versed. You know, I think people understand that they need designers now. It's like it's part of
Yeah.
we're part of the team. I mean, there used to be people who always do it themselves, and they've fallen behind really. I think because
Yeah.
you need some. It's not people have always got ideas, but you need someone to clarify those ideas and turn it into a design. You know.
Yeah.
So they might go, I really like so-and-so, so-and-so, and I really like so-and-so, so-and-so. And they say, why can't we just copy it? And then they try to copy it themselves, and it's happened before, and they've gone, oh, it's not right, what's wrong? I've got the wrong colour, is that not the right colour? You know, the lighting's terrible in here, you know. I wanted a concrete floor, but it looks, I put a tiled concrete floor down, it looks shit, you know. So I think most of my clients understand the power of design.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of work for Harvey Nichols and Oxo Tower, which is all Harvey Nichols Group, and we're always on their pitching list. And we've done 5 jobs for them now. But we did a bar for them in Harvey Nichols, the 5th floor champagne bar, which was very, very well known as a champagne bar. Always been sponsored by different drinks brands. Somebody thought it was a good idea to put Stolichnaya in there, and they did a Stolichnaya bar. Which was all red and gold and black and very brutal and very Russian looking. And then the whole place filled up with Russian hookers and nobody would go there anymore.
Okay.
So we got approached to do a Perrier Jouet bar, which is like the really good champagne that we do a lot of work for. And we changed the interior and doubled their turnover within a month of opening. So that's the power of, that's always use that example of the power of design.
Yeah.
Literally doubled, they went from taking 50 grand to 100 grand a week. Literally by changing the design. Nothing else changed. Same staff. So you know that I think people realise.
Yeah.
And there's bad designers out there. You know, the people that don't do good jobs, and I don't know how they get away with it.
Wow. Okay.
Is that enough?
Yeah. I
Cool.
think that was really helpful.
Good. Do you want to have a quick walk around?
Yeah, sure.